Some people seem to move through life trailed by a storm. Every workplace, every friendship, every relationship, somehow it ends in conflict, tears, or a fallout. And here's the strange part. They're usually not lying when they say they didn't start it. They genuinely didn't try. So why does drama keep finding them? It isn't bad luck, and it isn't fate. It's psychology. 5 quiet mechanisms running beneath conscious awareness. Once you can name them, you'll never see a so-called drama magnet the same way again. Let's be clear from the start. This isn't about calling anyone a villain. Most people who attract constant drama aren't scheming. They're not waking up planning chaos. The patterns we're about to break down operate automatically. Learned early, reinforced over years. That's exactly what makes them so powerful and so hard to see from the inside. Understanding them isn't about judging other people. It's about recognizing the machinery so you can spot it in others and switch it off in yourself. You almost certainly know someone like this. Every few weeks, there's a new crisis. A friend who betrayed them, a boss who has it out for them, a partner who just doesn't understand. Each story on its own sounds believable. It's only when you zoom out across years, across a completely different people and places, that the pattern appears. The common thread in every story is the person telling it. That's not an accusation, it's a clue, because when chaos follows someone across every environment, the source usually isn't the environment. The first force is the victim identity. There's a difference between being a victim, something that happens to you, and building an identity around it. For some people, the role of the one that things happen to becomes the core of how they understand themselves. And an identity needs evidence. If being wronged is who you are, your mind quietly scans every situation for proof. A neutral comment becomes an insult. A delayed text becomes rejection. The world slowly reorganizes itself into a series of offenses because the alternative, that nothing actually happened, threatens the self-image. This is what psychologists loosely call victim mentality. It isn't weakness. It's a stable, self-reinforcing story. And the hidden cost is that it manufactures conflict out of ordinary life. The second mechanism is emotional contagion. Humans are wired to catch each other's emotional states the way we catch a yawn. When someone walks into a room carrying tension, anxiety, or simmering anger, the people around them feel it before a single word is spoken. Drama-prone individuals often broadcast a high-intensity emotional signal almost constantly. Their nervous system runs hot. And because emotion spreads, everyone nearby gets pulled into the weather system they generate. Calm conversations escalate. Small disagreements ignite. They're not necessarily starting fights. They're radiating a frequency that makes fights more likely for everyone in range. The third is the most elegant, and it has a name: the drama triangle. Decades ago, a psychiatrist named Stephen Cartman mapped the way conflict tends to organize itself into 3 roles: the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. The victim feels powerless. The persecutor blames. The rescuer swoops in to save the day. Here's the trap. In chronic drama, people don't stay in one role. They rotate. The victim who feels attacked becomes the persecutor who lashes out. The exhausted rescuer becomes the new victim. A drama magnet is often someone who unconsciously casts everyone around them into these roles and then keeps the triangle spinning. You think you're helping. In reality, you've been handed a part in a play you never auditioned for. If you're starting to recognize these patterns in someone you know, or maybe in yourself, that recognition is the entire point of this channel. We decode the hidden machinery of human behavior. Subscribe, and let's keep going, because the next 2 are the ones almost nobody notices. The fourth mechanism is uncomfortable. For some people, drama feels good, not consciously. Nobody enjoys suffering on purpose. But conflict produces a flood of stress chemistry, adrenaline, cortisol, and crucially, a hit of dopamine when the conflict finally resolves. If someone grew up in a chaotic environment, their nervous system can learn to read calm as boredom, or even as danger. Peace feels wrong. Stillness feels like something is about to break. So without realizing it, they reintroduce chaos, a provocative message, a reopened argument, a fresh crisis. Think of the person who finally has a quiet week and somehow picks a fight by Friday. The spike of intensity is simply the state they were wired to expect. They're not addicted to drama. They're addicted to the familiar. The fifth is the quietest and the most fixable: boundary blindness. Drama needs an opening to enter. People with weak boundaries leave that door wide open. They overshare with near strangers. They absorb other people's problems as their own. They say yes when they mean no and tolerate behavior that should have ended a relationship long ago. Every unspoken limit is an invitation. Without boundaries, there's no filter between you and everyone else's chaos. So all of it flows straight in. The drama isn't always theirs. Sometimes they're simply the one person who never learned to close the door. Now here's the question that actually matters. What if reading through these five, you recognize yourself? Most people instantly picture someone else: an ex, a coworker, a relative. Very few turn the lens inward. But the honest test is simple. Look at the pattern, not the story. If the same kind of conflict keeps reappearing with different people, that repetition is the signal. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person running an old program, one that can be rewritten the moment you decide to see it. So how do you stop the storm? In others or in yourself? You don't do it by becoming cold or cutting everyone off. You do it by interrupting the machinery. When you feel yourself being pulled into someone's emotional weather, name it silently. This feeling isn't mine. When you're offered a role, rescuer, persecutor, or victim, decline the part. Don't swoop in, don't attack, don't collapse. Practice the single most powerful sentence in conflict: that doesn't work for me. No justification, no argument, just a clear line. And build the boundary you have been avoiding. The small, clear no that closes the door before chaos can walk through it. Drama survives on participation. The moment you stop playing your role, the triangle has nowhere left to spin. Awareness is the off switch. And now you know exactly where to find it. Five mechanisms, one pattern. If this changed the way you see the people around you or the way you see yourself, you already know what to do next. Whether you love him or can't stand him, one thing is impossible to deny. When Donald Trump walks into a room, people react. Cameras turn, crowds roar, opponents tense up, and millions of people across the entire world feel something they can't quite explain. This video isn't about politics. It's about the psychological machinery underneath that reaction.